A couple years ago, a colleague invited me to a local wildlife reserve slash park, and they had some captive animals. One was a white fox or something similar, and it was very clearly unhappy, running around its enclosure like it wanted to escape when we got close. I'm not going to comment on any of the regulations or animal housing laws or whatever, because I don't actually know anything about that, and this is part of the point. I noticed how unhappy it acted and commented on it, naturally. And the colleague asked something like, "Well, why don't you volunteer?" With the implication that if I felt so negatively, I could do something to fix it. And this is where the problem lies. Because of course I feel injustice, and I'm a person who'd like to remedy that, but I couldn't. This colleague had a history, a degree in social sciences, and experience in the political world. Experience fighting for lines in the sand that protect people and ideas. I have none of that, and I'm not a person that would. Because if I tried to do everything that was suggested to me, or remedy everything I felt injustice about, I would be nobody, because I would not be doing anything for myself. There's this overwhelming low grade anxiety that gets pushed on everyone about how you have to do everything right all the time and always for a good reason that excludes nobody and benefits everyone, and that's just not possible. You have only so much time in your life, right? And I firmly believe that there are people for specific things. And sometimes, well, most of the time, you have to just feel shitty and let things go. Some people create. I'm one of those. Some people work in healthcare. Some people work in politics or the legal system. Some people do the hard jobs that keep everything running on the ground level, the trades. And for some reason, you're expected to be some amount of every single one of those people, and that's just not how it works. You should both read and understand every contract you sign. You should know first aid, but also how to repair things in your home and your vehicle. And you don't know how to garden? You don't know how to mend your clothes? You don't know all of your local laws? You don't volunteer? You must not be very charitable, then. You don't have super cool, interesting hobbies squeezed in between all of that stuff that you're supposed to know. You're not stat maxed. Let us be very clear. This is not realistic. And I specify realistic because some holotype specimen freak might have maxed stats, somehow, but this is not achievable in the broader spectrum. This is what stats look like. You can pick like three things, and I wouldn't go any further than that if you actually care about being good at these things. If you really want to max something, pick one or two. You cannot be everything, at least not if you want to do a good job. Let me give you a list of all the things I was trying to do in the time that I made this visit to the reserve. I had a whole ass typed, printed, and stapled packet to keep track of all of this. I would have used it as a prop, but I don't think I have it anymore. Illustrator, animator, graphic designer, motion graphics designer, 3D modeler, musician, streamer, I guess, I was thinking about it, learning Portuguese, coding, I wanted to make a game, and other things, but those were the majority. And guess how much of that I was able to do? Basically none. Because each of these things is a profession of its own, and it's not possible. I'm one of those fortunate creative types that's really good in a range, and that's because I'm good at patterns and I have some transferable skills. But even then, I'm good, not great, because my stats are spread out. I love numbers, I enjoyed math classes, and I failed all three of my accounting classes in college because I can't be an accountant. I'm just not built for it. Every stat has a backlog that you need to be familiar with. Unspoken, experience based knowledge that flavors your life and has to be learned from the ground up. And that's what lines up with you. I can do a range of creative things because I've always been creative. That experiential familiarity is not something you can teach. You just have to be there. I can't do accounting because I'm not familiar at all with the concepts surrounding behind where money goes and why it's accounted for in the ways it is. I could learn most of that from a book, but it's not going to speak to me. As far as I'm concerned, money goes in my hand and out of it, and that's the end of it. And so, what I'm imparting is that you need to be more cutthroat about where your skill points are going. There are people for different things. There will always be a person doing whatever it is that you have to let go of. I'd like to add an aside right here. I am not saying this with the same energy of, oh, that's not my job, that's what X person is hired for, so I'm just gonna leave this task undone. Obviously, be a good person, okay? There may well have already been a person working with that fox. I don't know, and I can't know. But I do know that if I stopped everything I wanted to pursue for that fox, I wouldn't actually be doing anything I wanted to. And you have to live with that. But it doesn't make you a bad person. You're just limited.